Thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank Dr. Anurag and Dr. Sanghamitra, as well as my good friend Rupak, for giving this opportunity. So I'll be talking on tools and steps in SFIL. I have no financial disclosures to make regarding any of the products described in this presentation. So we all know SFIL is required in cases of aphakia where there is a lack of adequate capsular support. So tools most commonly required in SFIL, apart from normal ophthalmic instruments, are suture 10 or 9 proline. Very rarely Gore-Tex suture also used. Bent 26 gauge or 30 gauge needle and 25 gauge end grasping forceps are used, particularly in Gavor technique. Both rigid and foldable IOL can be used. Fibrin glue is used, particularly in Agarwal's variation of Gavor technique. And if you are using Yamani technique, then portable cautery is used, and Hoffman scalpel pocket, maybe either guided ophthalmic knife or diamond knife or crescent blade is used to create a scalpel pocket. So these are 10 or 9 proline. Most commonly, double arm straight needles are used, but we can also use one straight and one curved needle. And in vitrectomized eyes, to maintain intraocular pressure, use AC maintainer, and in non-vitrectomized eyes, we use 25 gauge infusion cannula. Shariat described use of two forceps, both curved and straight, which goes by in his name for using this sutureless SFIL. So this is a classical SFIL with a rigid PMMA IOL and with an eyelet in haptic, and this is a multi-piece foldable IOL. If you are using Gore-Tex user, then you can use 4-plate IOLs like this Bausch & Lomb Acrylos IOLs also. So there are various techniques, sutured and non-sutured. Non-sutured is usually Gavor technique. So these are the most commonly techniques are used. Also, the less common technique are Yamani technique and Hoffman scalpel pocket technique. So I will be describing the key steps of each techniques one by one. So here in the sutured SFIL technique, after the creation of partial thickness scleral flaps 180-degree apart, the one arm of the 10 proline needle is punctured 1.5 mm closer to the limbus and is fed into the bore of a bent 26 gauge needle. Introduce 1.5 mm from the limbus from the opposite end. So the needle is fed into the bore of the bent 26 gauge needle and withdrawn from the opposite side. And then through a scleral tunnel made superiorly, we have to externalize these sutures, divide the suture into two, and pass these sutures into the eyelets of the haptic. We need to actually put 5-6 throws in order to secure it tightly. Then we need to insert it and dial it accordingly. And afterwards, we have to suture at the both ends, making sure that the IOL is properly centered. Otherwise, if we pull very tightly towards the other end, the IOL may be decentered. So it should be evenly pulled on the both sides, balancing. So there will be no problem in IOL centration. So the basic essential steps are creation of scleral flaps, threading of the needle and passing to the other side, externalization of the sutures, and insertion of the IOL, and finally suturing of the 10 sutures. So the advantages is it is actually stability wise it gives very satisfying results over the long term, but 10 or 9 sutures being very fine actually is very time consuming procedure. It involves a lot of suturing, so it's a little bit of technically challenging, and only rigid IOL can be implanted through this technique, and very lately there can be suture erosion through the scleral flaps. So Gabor Shariat, a German ophthalmologist, came with a technique which is quicker, less time consuming, and the hallmark of this technique is after the IOL haptics are externalized, it is intrasclerally tucked. So here is a case where the IOL is subluxated, so we are explanting it, and we are removing the residual part of the cortex of capsule with a cutter. IOL is explanted, and two partial thickness scleral tunnels are created parallel to the limbus. in the bed of the scleral flaps. And we need to externalize the haptics of the IOL through the sclerotomy created in the scleral flaps. And after the IOL haptics are externalized, we need to tuck these haptics into the scleral tunnel created. This is the hallmark of the Sarioth technique or Gabor technique. Intrascleral tucking of the IOL haptic after they are externalized. So the Agarwal's variation of this technique called glued IOL, instead of suturing these lamellar scleral flaps, we use fibrin glue, that is commonly known as glued IOL. So here we are suturing the scleral flaps by atovicryl. Instead, we can apply glue to close this. And regarding Yamane technique, Yamane, Japanese ophthalmologist, his technique is also similar to Sarioth. Only thing is that he uses portable cautery to create a flanges in the IOL haptic and bury these IOL haptics into the sclera. So here he is using a clear corneal incision to introduce a foldable 3-piece IOL, and with a bent 30 gauge needle punctured transconjunctivally around 2 mm closer to the limbus. Each IOL haptic tip is fed into the cavity of this 30 gauge needle. The tip of the leading haptic goes inside the bent 30 gauge needle. And using bimanually simultaneously, both the haptics are exteriorized. Here goes the second needle, and tip of the trailing haptic will be introduced into this cavity. And these IOL haptics are simultaneously pulled out by both hands so that they lie externally. And after externalization of the IOL haptics, portable diaphragm is applied to make flanges, and these flanges are again buried in the sclera. So intrascleral flange burying is the hallmark of this Yamane technique. So again, the Hoffman scleral pocket technique is also useful, in particular in those cases where you can use one scleral pocket on the one side and on the both side also. So here I will share Dr. Pradipta Mahanta's video. So sorry, where you can see a large PCR over here and a very thin ring of capsular support in periphery. So what he is trying to do is making a clear corneal limbal incision by a crescent knife and dissecting a scleral pocket or around 3 into 3 mm towards the sclera. And then with a 10 needle is threaded into the IOL haptic. And through the other hand, because at this side, the IOL haptic will be supported by this capsular margin. So anterochamber maintainer is used to maintain intraocular pressure, and one arm of the straight needle of the tenoproline suture is fed into the bent 30 gauge needle, introduced 2 mm posterior to the limbus. Similarly, the same step is repeated twice, so there are 2 sutures at either end. And after the IOL is inserted, it is dialed into place. And through a IOL dialer, these 2 sutures are externalized through this limbal incision, and they are sutured. So one end is secured by these sutures, and other end is secured by this capsular flap, remaining capsular flap. So the advantages of this scleral pocket technique is no need to create any lamellar scleral flaps, no need to open the conjunctiva, etc. The results are also pretty satisfying in the post-op period. So these are my 4 techniques of SFL. But I still use sutured SFL and I never use sutureless IOLs. It gives long-term results, good results in my hand. So there's my acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manmath. You can stop sharing your screen, please. So Manmath was pretty vocal in announcing that the sutured SFL technique is his favorite. Let's see what is the favorite technique of the other 2 esteemed panelists of ours. We'll start with you, Saravanan sir.
We used to do a lot of sutured IOLs earlier, mainly using 90 Prolene. But what we realized was that after 10-15 years, we get a lot of cases where subluxation or total dislocation of the IOL in the vitreous cavity, where the suture, even though Prolene is non-absorbable, it is biodegradable. So that happens. So recently, for a few cases which we did the Gore-Tex suture. It's quite cheap, only around 1,000-2,000 rupees. You can get it from the address from any cardiothoracic surgeon who's nearby. So if you want to do a suture SFL, I would prefer to go for a Gore-Tex because you've seen a lot of late complications after 10-15 years of using 90 Prolene. I would not prefer, in this day and era, I would not prefer sutured SFL using Prolene. In case you want to go, you can go for a Gore-Tex. But Gore-Tex also has its own issues. It causes overlying scleral necrosis, exposure, all those things. It's not common, but still those things can happen. So especially in young people, children, and all these young adults, where people who are less than 50 years, I would my choice would not be a sutured SFL if I can get away with doing what do you call intrascleral fixation, the Gabos, either one of the modifications or the original Gabos technique. So in case where the sclera is very thin, especially in like large eyes, myopic eyes, or other syndromes where you have a thin elastic sclera, so maybe in these eyes you may, I would still prefer to go for a iris claw. But in case that also is contraindicated and you have to do only scleral fixation for whatever reason, then probably you can think about sutured IOLs. Right now, sutured IOLs is not my choice.
We'll learn about the right kind of IOL to be put in from case to case from Dr. Rupak in a while from now. But just a basic question, since Manmath concluded his talk with, and I would like to take Dr. Rupak's opinion in this first. His concluded his presentation with the explanation to Hoffman's scleral pockets. Do you ever use it for scleral fixated IOLs? We use it for a lot of other reasons, I understand, but it has its own issues. Like I think we saw in his case also that there was a profuse amount of bleed. You know, when you go translamellar, it injures the major scleral vessels, and there's a lot of bleed, and that accumulates under the conjunctiva. So what I normally do is, whenever I employ a Hoffman's pocket, I always stay in the tunnel with trypan blue so that I can see the limits and I know where to enter. But Dr. Rupak, do you ever use the Hoffman's pocket for scleral fixated IOLs?
No, I usually do not use that because of the same reason you mentioned, excessive chances of bleeding, and I'm not sure which plane I'm going. So not really, yes.
Manmath, after your exuberant presentation also, we still couldn't quite judge what is your go-to technique. So name one out of the 4 that you've mentioned.
Actually, I have always used sutured SFL. So in fact, I have experimented one sutureless SFL, and I have used. Anyway, any technique can, I think the best technique is whatever technique you are comfortable with. So that is the best technique. So any method is okay, I think. And now, actually, nowadays, a lot of people are using sutureless SFL. So somehow I was not comfortable with, so I'm still continuing. You can tell.
I have a confession to make. I tried both the Canabrava and the Yamane. It just didn't work out in my hands. I think I'm too mediocre a surgeon to try out difficult techniques like those. It just did not work out that both the haptics will be stabilized first and both of them will be pulled out at the same time.
Yes.
I just failed to find diagonally opposite points exactly at the same point of the meridian. I couldn't find it.
It looks a little bit challenging actually. Withdrawing the haptic, haptic, bilateral simultaneously.
Well, people who do them, it looks fantastic. It looks an artistic in their hands, but probably they're just too good for people like us.